Square through the foam in his mustache, his voice filled the air. Talking about a state of mind, son. Talking about the state of Jefferson. It's a wave on a dusty road. It's a logger's heavy load. It's a cattle on the hill. It's a range full of thrills. It's a way of life settles in your soul.
Settles in your soul. Yes, it does.
Settles in the soul.
It does.
It does.
How are you, partner?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing good. This is Terry Rapoza and my partner, Win Carpenter, who I have missed immensely over the last couple of episodes on Jefferson's State of Mind here.
I got to be away for a bit.
You did. We're going to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the states you were in, the comparison to California. But before we do that, this is episode 4 of Jefferson's State of Mind, M-I-N-E. You can find that by Googling or duck-ducking or doing whatever it is that you do, searching for Jefferson's State of Mind, M-I-N-E, and also mountaintopmedia.com. Anyway, we have a call-in number, folks. So if you do want to call in, it's 530-255-8063, 530-255-8063. So good morning, my good friend. Welcome back.
Thank you.
So you went on a trip, and you went and learned some things, saw some other states, and give you some ideas on how Jefferson should look, I would imagine. But tell us a little bit about your trip.
Well, it was a driving trip. It wasn't a flying trip, even though we ended up being around a lot of cool planes. I drove down with a family friend, asked me to help them out with a project they had going on because they're a local business here in Redding, and they are so busy they couldn't afford to take any of their staff with them. So he asked me if I want to go on a road trip. Hey, I'm open for a road trip. So we were gone for about 11, 12 days, something like that. And we drove out and got to the border of California, and we were into the border of Arizona, and it was all good. And then we drove through Arizona and got to the border of New Mexico, which is like California. So it wasn't so good. And then we got to Texas, and then we could breathe a sigh of relief. Even in El Paso, Texas, the western part of Texas, where the border is being crossed daily and all the things going on there, it was still a breath of fresh air versus being in California. And for the love of God, I don't understand how the roads in California are so bad when we pay so much in gas tax and everything else. When you compare the price of gas and the taxes in Texas and Nevada and even Arizona, their roads are superior. In Texas, their roads are absolutely awesome. They have a speed limit of 80. You can actually safely drive 80 miles an hour on the freeways because the roads are so good. Mm-hmm. Even the transitions going from the highway part of it to a bridge and then back onto the highway, they're flawless. I mean, you don't get that jolt that you get every time you hit like I-5 bridges. You know, you get that jolt where you're dropping from the road onto the bridge or hitting it hard. You just know they're going to bend your rim, blow your tires out or whatever. Yeah. You don't have that down there, or at least we didn't. And we were in West Texas, and we went to the southern part of Texas. And it was there was a lot of traveling in there. We traveled 5,000 miles. Wow. So there was a lot of driving around in Texas. So we got to see a lot of really good territory, meet some great people, and, watching people walking around with their 6-suiters on their hips and stuff like that. It was, and totally open carry. It was awesome to see. And it was just all walks of life. So it was a really good trip.
Yeah, you were mentioning the price of gas. Here in California, I don't know what the average price is even. I know that even around here in Redding, it's somewhere between $4 and $4.50, depending on where you are. What was the price of gas around Texas?
The lowest we saw, and I forgot to take a picture, because I did take a picture at one point when we were in, I think we were in San Angelo, and I shot the picture of $2.69. But the lowest price we saw and that we got was $2.39.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it's like, holy cow! How can we be paying $2.39 here, and then in California it's $4+? It was crazy, and that was premium. Because my buddy that I ride with, he doesn't put anything but premium in his rig. And that was premium, $2.39.
Yeah, California is so lost. I mean, irrevocably broken. Yeah. And also, you were talking about El Paso. You told me some information on El Paso. I found that pretty interesting as far as on the border. We have all these issues now on the border, and what is it, 13,000 refugees, 13,000 illegals that they're now trying to transport back. Is that to Haiti? I think it is.
Yeah, I saw something earlier this morning that they're shipping them off into it looked like a Coast Guard plane or a fire plane of some sort. Just the way it was painted. I don't know if it was, but the picture that was shot out there in the social media, so whether it's true or not, don't know, but that's what the picture was that they shared. And they're being, they're grabbing up the border, shipping them back to Haiti.
So tell us about El Paso. I thought that was pretty interesting.
It was interesting driving through there, just seeing all the people walk across the international bridge they have there. The bridge that links Juarez, which is right there on the other side of the fence, and it's a big city. It's huge. I was impressed on how big it was, and you see it from...
In comparison to Sacramento, about how big? What was it?
El Paso
Yeah.
is larger than Sacramento.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And so it's just strewn along. You're going on a highway, the Interstate 10 from El Paso eastward, and that's what we were traveling on. And just looking and seeing all of that, you can definitely see the difference. And that bridge is there so that people that live in Juarez, they come across the bridge to work in the U.S., wherever that is, whether it's in El Paso or surrounding communities or whatever, but they're allowed to walk across that. No driving. They can walk across it to go work, but they have to have special permits to do so. Which, okay, that's fine. They have a work visa, work permit, whatever, and they've been providing services on this side of the border. That's doable. Those people have been checked out. They've been vetted. They've been cleared to be able to do that, and then they go back to Juarez where they live and pay their bills and raise their family on the other side of the fence. So that's what we saw. And we talked to people there. We stopped at a gas station there just to kind of get some information, a little bit of local background on what was going on there. It was pretty cool. And the freeway bridges, the transitions and all that you see in Texas, they have pride up the wazoo. The Lone Star State Star is on all of it. I mean, their bridges, the transitions, the concrete pillars and everything, they're decorated, and they have the star on it. And it may even say the name of the community on it. But they look really nice. They're almost inviting, for you to come into their community or what have you. Whereas in California, we just have these gray, funky-looking pillars. And, same thing. You're driving up, and you're up like 6 or 8.
Hammer and sickle?
Yeah. You're 8 or 10 stories up off the ground, driving over other lanes underneath you, whatever. They have the same thing, but theirs are really well done, and they look good, and they take pride in it. At least that's what I saw anyway.
It's the comparison between a place like Texas or, frankly, many other states compared to California. The illegal laws that we have, with this, you just know Newsom. You just know Newsom is going to demand that people get the jab.
Yeah.
And a local radio program this morning had the health, not the health officer, but the health officer spokesman for Shasta County Health, and this young gal was on. She was speaking about, how we may need a booster, but we may not have to have a booster, but depends on the person. But now there's a new strain, and guess what? There's going to be another new strain, And I think it was the New Orleans Saints yesterday. Their coaching staff, they had like 7 of them that were out on COVID protocol. And these professional teams are all being vaccinated, Yeah. I know that locally, a company I do business with couldn't print T-shirts, couldn't do anything because their printer was out with COVID, and he had been vaccinated, and his wife had been vaccinated. She was out with it, and their adult children were out with it, and they had been vaccinated. So
they're sick and they got the vaccine.
They had been vaccinated. I mean, there's a lot of talk going on in communities about how 90% of the people in the hospital haven't been vaccinated. Well, okay, that have it there, but what about the ones that are at home that have been? Mm-hmm. I can think of several friends, people I know that chose to have the vax, chose to have the jab, and they've come down with COVID. Mm-hmm. It's the antibodies in your body that are going to protect you. I mean, you have that God-given immune system.
Right.
And to me, just looking at this, the craziness of California, and you just know that son of a bitch, Newsom, is going to go ahead, and he is going to go ahead and start making things hard for us. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see people coming up here who are basically refugees, illegals, that could be carrying the virus.
Don't doubt it.
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think we can put anything past our government. In Texas, did you get the sense that there was a sense more of liberty and freedom. I mean, that may sound like a silly question, but I want you to go elaborate into that a little bit and the differences between that and California, what you see here.
We didn't see one mask.
Really? Really?
Yeah, not one mask. Not at a gas station, not at a restaurant, not in Texas. New Mexico, yeah. You had to wear a mask to go from the front door when you walk into a restaurant to your table, but then you could take it off. What's the point? What's the point?
Control.
Yeah. And the thing is, New Mexico's governor is a Democrat.
Oh.
Yeah.
And Texas governor
Is not. Is anything but.
Yeah, really and truly, it's getting to where we can't put anything past the government. I had a talk with a gentleman who's writing a book, and he's talking about how the ecosystem can help us with our economy. It's sort of it's a little bit, it's not, I won't say it's convoluted, but the process he talked about was interesting. But again, it's the kind of thing where we keep going, well, let's go with education. Let's educate these people. People need to be educated. Well, how much time do we have? It's like, let's be educated, but we have to make sure that as we explain and educate folks, that the average guy like us, like you and I, we get it.
Educated on what?
Apparently, this ecosystem is supposed to work in the economy to make it to where we can grow our economies without the government interference. So this guy obviously doesn't live in California.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that if you have a company of it's 100 people or more, that they're most likely going to be forced to be vaccinated.
Yeah.
How do you do that and get away with it? We let them get away with so much
And
stuff.
who has the liability on that? Does the company,
It's a good point.
or does the state, or the government, or governor, or the government, or the issuing agency, or the agency demanding that happens? Who has the responsibility for that staff member who takes the jab and something catastrophic happens to them?
That's right.
Who has the ultimate responsibility to that staff member?
That's a good point. And you're absolutely right. I mean, wouldn't that be like practicing medicine without a license?
Absolutely. and once you have that liability factored in, and if God forbid that staff member passes, and they, what do you do for their family? You owe that family whatever it is you owe them to rectify that. So who's going to be paying that bill? The people, once again, are going to be paying that bill.
They will.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too. It's kind of like, as we look at, in California has some interesting things in their constitution. One of which you sort of segued into that I think is absolutely incredibly important. In the California Constitution, Section 1, it says the government is instituted for the protection, security, and benefit, and the people have the right to alter and reform it when the public good may require. Now, as we know, government's only institute, their only job is to protect security and to protect the rights of the governed. And we've gotten to a point where our government is now trying to usurp and control just about everything that we do. Well, not try, they are. But the California Constitution gives us some leeway. And here's where it really does. Section 1, California Constitution. All people by nature are free and independent and have inalienable rights. Among these are enjoying and defending life, liberty, and acquiring, possessing, protecting, and pursuing and obtaining safety, happiness, and privacy.
Privacy and protection,
Yes.
both being violated by the state.
That's right. With all their egregious, unlawful laws they have on the Second Amendment mandates. Unbelievable. And
How
we
does
let
that
them,
work?
folks. I mean, this is just bullshit. Why do we let them?
Mm-hmm.
Every person may freely speak. This is Section 2. This is really important. Every person may freely speak, write, and publish his or her sentiments on all subjects, being responsible for the abuse of this right. A law may not restrain or abridge liberty of speech or press. In other words, you can publish anything that you choose to publish as long as you're not breaking the law,
Right.
threatening, et cetera, et cetera. So when we talk about the press and we talk about freedom of the press, who's the press? We're the press.
We are the public.
The public.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, it's one of these things where the government is just is suppressing us, especially in California, in the worst way. And another thing that comes to mind, we've had all these shutdowns in, and of course during COVID, where a lot of the boards of supervisors, either were streaming in, they were, they weren't in the building, they would shut down the building, they wouldn't let you go in, they wouldn't have meetings, everything was virtual, etc. I mean, that's entirely against the California Constitution.
Well, yeah, it's in the Constitution what their duties are, and their responsibility is to have meetings, regular meetings, not 2 meetings a month, not 3 meetings a month.
Absolutely.
Every Tuesday.
Absolutely.
Every Tuesday.
And specifically in this county, that's where it should be. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
And you're absolutely right. And here's the deal. The deal
do the
is
people's business. That's
Yes,
what
sir.
they're there for, to do the
Yes,
people's
sir.
business.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And you're so right about that. And that's the idea. It is the people's business. It's our business.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the other thing. Now, I know I'm bringing up something that happened in 2020, but don't tell me in your county when you're out there. Don't tell me that you're not hearing rumblings of, well, COVID's spiking again.
Yeah.
Man, we may have to social distance or wear masks, or there'll only can be a few of you in here at a time. Oh, and make sure you social distance. And what we may want to do when you're in here to make sure we have enough room for everybody, if a lot of you show up, is you can stand in the foyer once you're done speaking in your public comment. Well, I'm going to read something to you.
Or as they did in our county, they took the seats out of the chairs. What are there, 200 seats in there, something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
And they took out every other or every 2. Well, they took several seats in a row. They would take, so you could only seat maybe 3 people in each row.
On our dime.
On our dime, yeah.
And
so
plexiglass.
You go in there to have a seat, and there aren't any available because only 3 people in an entire row are allowed to sit there.
That's right.
Because they're 6 or more feet apart.
Right.
And they did that on our dime. You're right. They did that on our dime. They're paying staff to take those seats out, and then they paid staff to put them back in.
Section 3A of the California Constitution states, the people have the right to instruct their representatives, petition government for redress of grievances, and assemble freely to consult for the common good. Now, here's the kicker on that. Section 3B, the people have the right of access to information concerning the conduct of the people's business, and therefore the meetings of public bodies and writings of public officials and agencies shall be open to public scrutiny.
Yes.
Now, I know in Shasta County, they made it so that if you want any public records, you have to pay for it. Well, it's pretty simple. Since that's stated, you could always walk in and say, I don't have any money. But according to the Constitution, Article 1, Section 3B, I want the stuff.
Yeah.
And I think...
And it depends on that staff member who's processing that for you at the counter. Do they know the Constitution? No, all they're going to do is they're going to mimic what they've been told. No, it's $3 or it's $10 or $20, whatever the price is. There's a fee attached to you, the public, getting the information that the people that we elected into these positions are supposed to be serving us. It's our property. It's our house. They are the staff members of us. We elected them in there. They are our employees. And people forget that. When you vote them in, they got your vote to get into that position. They're your employee.
Well, there's a new thing that's going to happen. And I hope I'm not opening a can of worms, but there's a thing called a resolution. And now everybody wants to do a resolution. Well, let's do a resolution. Oh, resolution for anything. Let's do a resolution for this, a resolution for that. In
What's
other
it
words,
going to resolve?
Well, exactly. Well, here's the thing. What's the teeth of a resolution?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
Only if the person that you're presenting that to on behalf decides that they're going to comply with it.
There's a lot of people that are trying to do this is, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but a resolution that a county needs to be a constitutional county. Why would you have a resolution that already is stated in the United States Constitution.
And the state constitution.
Yes, and they took, in Article 20 of the state constitution, they took an oath of office to adhere to what?
Both.
That's exactly right.
The state and federal constitutions.
That's exactly right. So we were doing a resolution. You should be doing that. Win, you know what? You should be a man. Oh, but wait, you're already a man. But you should be a man. I want a resolution saying that Win Carpenter, I state I am a man.
Redundant?
You think?
Yeah.
I mean, the crazy part about this is that, the stupid part about all this is the fact that people do resolutions on things that have no teeth. Yeah. There's two things we have to look at. Number one is action. We have to have actions towards something. And number two, if an action is proposed by the people, passed into legislation, what are the consequences?
Right.
Of not following that action? And we don't do that.
Well, that should be arrest.
You think?
I mean, if they're violating the Constitution, an arrest should follow immediately.
You think?
Yeah.
How about the United States Code, the law? Okay.
Yeah.
For example, Jerry Brown and Gavin Newsom declared us a sanctuary state. Okay, that means that they violated United States Code, Title 8, Code Section 1324, specifically saying that they were going to protect, harbor, assist, and shield illegal aliens. That's a felony.
Yeah.
We have
a direct violation of the federal and state constitutions.
Yes. Yeah, and it's United States Code. It's a felony. I mean, we let these people get away with stuff, and then we're going to do what? Sue them. God bless,
Lawsuits don't do anything.
But, I mean, God...
And they don't have any teeth.
I know,
and
you're right.
You have to go to a court that's corrupt, that's run by the state, because that's where the bread is buttered. Those courts are, truly, they're not worth their salt. You have to arrest. You have to arrest.
And that's the thing. I mean, you've got the California Constitution that in Article 3, Section 1 specifically states that the state of California recognizes the United States Constitution as the supreme law of the land, and the state of California is an inseparable part of that. Well, if that's the case, then when we have judges that are not doing their job, okay, that's Article 3, Section 1 of the United States Constitution that specifically states that a judge may serve at their good behavior, and behavior is all in capitals.
Bold and all cap and bolded.
And bold.
Yep. In the Constitution.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that means that they have to adhere to the Constitution and adhere to the law.
Right.
Not just be like a lot of our federal judges that just say, Constitution's what I say it is.
Right. This is my law.
This is my law. This is what I say. Or someone like Joe Clementi who makes the comment, well, we have a social contract. What the hell is a social contract?
Socialist contract? Is that what he's really saying?
Maybe.
And just not saying it all the way?
Maybe. So let's get back to this resolution thing. So people do resolutions. Now, the California Rifle and Pistol Association put forth a Second Amendment resolution. Now, in that resolution, it really did have some interesting points in it. There were some teeth in that. If they signed that, there were some teeth in that, because what they did is they put ordinances in there, an ordinance, which would be a law. They put an ordinance in there that would have to be passed. So now there's a consequence for the non-adherence to a resolution, which I thought was well done. I thought that the California Rifle and Pistol Association did a nice job on that. What it did show in Shasta County, though, is this particular resolution, a Second Amendment sanctuary county, was rejected by the three supervisors who were being recalled, Modi, Clementi, and Rickert. They not only rejected that particular resolution, but they also said that it couldn't come up again unless there was a quorum that decided to bring it up. A quorum meaning a majority of the...
And would that quorum be deciding it outside of a board meeting? Or inside a board meeting?
Well, outside of board meetings, as you know, I know that's what you're getting to, is a violation of the Brown Act.
Right, that's why I'm asking.
Right. Well, that's the thing. It would have to be, what they could do is if it's brought up as an agenda item, they would have, three of them, they'd have to vote on it as if it's brought up as an agenda item, and then the three of them would have to say, we don't want it or we do want it.
Right.
But it would have to be, who knows what they do in closed session. We just had a whole program on... And if you go to KCNR1460.com, kcnr1460.com, and you go to programming, you go to Jefferson State of Mine, M-I-N-E, and you click on the button, you'll hear about some very interesting things as far as truth and lies.
And that was for the show that was just done on
yesterday.
Sunday.
Yeah, on Sunday at 9 o'clock, yeah.
And what was the date yesterday? I don't remember.
Beats me, buddy. I think it was the 19th.
It was the 19th, yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, so a resolution's a good thing, yeah, but they have to have something like the California Rifle and Pistol Association put in there, and that is
Right.
that it leads to an ordinance of certain things. So it leads to law.
Right.
And that was a good job by them. But these things about, well, you guys just have to say you're a constitutional county. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, okay, we're a constitutional county, but we believe in our social contract.
Why don't we just follow the Constitution? I mean, that's the rule book. That's the playbook for the entire country.
Yeah. Well, even California, we just discussed it.
Right. And California's Constitution, like you said earlier, denotes in there that it follows the federal Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. Hello?
Yeah.
Why are we doing all this other garbage, wasting time, spending money, doing all this stuff, having drama, when the book is right in front of you?
Right.
Follow it. Use it. I mean, that goes with your open carry. That goes with everything. I didn't say concealed carry because that's not in there. Right to bear arms. That means you can carry guns. Whether it's a pistol, whether it's a rifle, you can carry guns. And that used to be the way it was here in California. What made it change?
Well, what made it change is a swing toward liberalism.
Yeah. So we just need to get back to using the Constitution.
Well, and I think all people want liberty and freedom. I don't think that there's anybody in their right mind that doesn't want liberty or freedom and a better life for their kids and grandkids.
Well, yeah, when you start telling people they can't do X, Y, and Z, and everybody has their level of acceptance, what they're going to accept that, okay, yeah, well, they can tell me this, they can tell me that. But then there's that threshold for every person. It may be different, but there's that threshold individually that you will not tolerate being told what you can and cannot do. Everybody has that. It's in us. It's in our nature. So why would we tolerate any of that when the rule book is in front of us to be able to do what we want when we want to? Now, that comes with responsibility, and you have to, if you're going to do something that is out of the social norms, and you're going to do something that's contrary to what the Constitution allows you to do, or, well, not allows you, but doesn't allow the government.
Yeah, it allows the government not to do or to do.
Right. So it's just being moral and ethical.
Sure.
And that's the problem. If people are going to be immoral and unethical, then there are consequences with that. And we have laws for that. That's what we have laws for, to protect society. And then to, incarcerate and to punish those who violate those laws.
Well, yeah, and, we've said this 100 times, and it's why there is a California Constitution, why the founders created the federal government. And again, the thing we have to understand is that the Constitution is a compact, not a contract. It's a compact. The difference is a contract is between two people. Mm-hmm. A compact is between two legitimate government entities, mm-hmm. or not two, but in the case of the Constitution, 13 at the time. Now, when you have that compact, the federal government is the product of the compact. It's a product. It's like, somebody made this glass. Okay, well, the glass can't come back and say, hey, you know what? I don't want to be a glass anymore. In fact, I'm going to start taxing your home. I'm going to start taxing you for anything I want. I'm going to start doing all these different things to you. Well, no, you can't do that. You're a glass and I created you.
Right.
Okay, and what's preventing me from taking this glass and throwing it against the wall and breaking it?
Nothing.
That's right. See, understand that the federal government is a product of a compact, a product of a contract. It's a product.
Yeah.
Okay, and the problem is that the creation now is running the creator. We have the same situation with California.
Right.
What the hell is a mandate? A mandate? What the hell? A mandate? I'm going to mandate that you do this. I'm going to do what's an executive order? Where are we? Russia?
And all a mandate
it's insane.
All a mandate is just telling somebody more sternly that they need to do something. I'm just telling you, you need to do this. No, I mean it. I'm mandating you to do it. That's all that means, is when they say they're mandating, it's like, no, I'm just telling you, you need to do it. They're not saying you need to follow the law. They're not saying you need to follow the policies. They're not saying any of that. And the laws that we didn't get to vote on. There aren't any laws saying that we have to take the jab. There aren't any laws saying that we have to wear a mask when we go out in public. There aren't any laws saying that. Are there?
No.
Has the legislature passed that in California? Maybe they did in the dark of night and we don't know it yet, because that's how they seem to operate. But we didn't get to vote on it either.
You know, that you're absolutely right, my good friend. Absolutely right. And you know the thing, you made me you made me think of this. The 3 supervisors that are being recalled in Shasta County have come out in ads. They come out publicly and said, you know, gosh, a lot of our restaurants stayed open because of us. No, restaurants stayed open in spite of you.
In spite of you.
And that's been the whole issue here.
Right.
In spite of what you did, Clemente, and what you did, Rickard, and what you did, Modi, in spite of you.
Right.
And in fact, people went out of business because of you.
Yes.
How in the world? But that's what liberals do. That's what evil people do. They turn the tables on you, and like so many people say, if you lie long enough, you'll believe the lie yourself.
Right.
You know, I mean, have we gotten into the Stockholm system? I mean, I think that's the right terminology for that. That's when you are abducted and you start adhering to your abuser.
Right.
And so when you have something like that, is that what we're doing in California? I mean, I drive by and I see these people out here on the corner, and they're out there with their kids, getting COVID tests and maybe the jab, and they're doing that with little tiny kids,
right,
with masks on. I mean, seriously?
Yeah.
You know, so the crazy part about this is how much are we going to adhere to something that isn't illegal? And when are we going to hold supervisors, public officials, all elected officials,
and the bureaucrats that are not elected.
When are we going to hold them accountable? They all have to take an oath.
Yeah, they do.
And, you know, we always talk about, you know, some things that are law are not legal and some things that are legal are not lawful. Well, That's why we have the Constitution of the United States.
Right.
And we have the Constitution of California. These two are the lines in the sand. They're not, like people always say, I say it myself, I slip sometimes, we all do, and say, well, we have constitutional rights. No, we don't.
God-given rights.
We have God-given rights, and the Constitution is the line in the sand. The Constitution binds the government.
Binds the government, not the people.
That's right.
It doesn't say what the people can do. It says what the government cannot do. And people have to understand that. It's a restriction of the government. Our founders were brilliant. They knew that these days would come. And here they are. You know, we need to use that, get familiar with it, understand it, be able to use it inside and out. We have some brilliant people out there that are scholars in the Constitution, and they know how the process works. And we've been fortunate that we've been exposed to them. They're our friends, and we can talk to them about all of this stuff. And so we know what we need to do and how we need to do it. And we just keep on doing what we need to do. You keep pushing forward because that's what we have to do. And there aren't very many people out there that are doing that because the education system from 1962 and on has been dumbed down so badly. They fail to teach, civics, true civics, about the Constitution, about history. They may scan American history for a minute, but then they replace it with something that's just totally way out there. So they're not actually giving you the true facts of the history of our nation and where it started. It didn't just start the day they got on our shore. It started in Europe. That's where our history started. And why did it start in Europe? Because people wanted freedom. They were tired of being under the monarchy. And multiple monarchies what drove people to the U.S. So people came here for freedom. They died for it. Many, many, many people died for it. And so for us to not honor that and to follow the Constitution and to do that's the playbook. That book has been written, and it didn't take them 10 minutes to write it. It took them quite a while to write it, and they fought over things that are in the Constitution to make sure they were protecting future generations, which we are the beneficiaries of. And our children are going to be the beneficiaries of it continued as long as we protect it and protect them.
There's some heroes out there. When
Absolutely.
You look at San Joaquin County, I mean, they sent their healthcare official to Sacramento saying, hey, we're not going to adhere to all this stuff about, our medical people having to take a jab. What they did, and the Board of Supervisors said, put their foot down and said, we're protecting our medical people. We don't want to lose our medical people. We don't want to lose these people because you're making a mandate that they have to get something that they don't believe they want in their bodies. There's nothing constitutional about it. There's nothing that is legal about it, yet you're forcing it down our throats. And we're not going to adhere to that. Kudos to them. And there's other counties, Sutter County, there's other counties that are standing up.
Are those the county supervisors?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's not just the public in the county.
Yes.
And it's not just the hospital
yes.
administrations in those counties.
Yes, it's the supervisors that are standing. So, and that's the thing. Now, remember, here's the bottom line to it. Government is instituted by the people for protection of their God-given rights.
Right.
That's the only function of government.
Right.
That's the only function of government. In fact, in the California Constitution, the preamble is, "We the people of the state of California, grateful to Almighty God for our freedom in order to secure and perpetuate its blessings, do establish this Constitution. All people," Section 1, "all people by nature are free and independent and have inalienable rights. Among these are enjoying, defending life and liberty, acquiring, possessing, and protecting property, and pursuing and obtaining safety, happiness, and privacy." And there's even a place in the California Constitution that it's Article 18, Section 3 in the California Constitution that specifically states that the people, by initiative, can change the Constitution of California. They can amend it. The people can do that. So there were many liberties given to us and added to, or spelled out, maybe that's a better word, in the Constitution of California that help us to understand that the people are in control. And there's something that we haven't talked about, and we should. That is jurisdiction, interposition, and nullification.
Yep.
Now, a lot of times your Board of Supervisors or your, in other states, Commissioners.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
I was blank there for a second.
Blank. So, in commissioners, their job is to make sure that your rights are protected.
Right.
That's their job. Their jurisdiction, they may say, well, we don't have jurisdiction. Yes, you do.
Absolutely,
You bet. The minute, especially in California,
Yep.
the minute you take that oath to the California Constitution, the United States Constitution, you have that jurisdiction.
You have, at that moment, stepped between whoever and the citizens.
Well put, my good friend.
Yep.
That's exactly right. That's what interposition is. Stepping between. So, bad guy, your wife, you. Bad guy wants to come at your wife. You have jurisdiction over protecting your family.
Right.
So you stand against them. Then he tries to go around you this way, and you pull out your 45 and you nullify him.
Yeah.
So the deal is that when you look at how this whole process works, the jurisdiction of a Board of Supervisors is their oath to the Constitution of the United States and the state of California. They have jurisdiction, just like the heroes in San Joaquin.
Yep.
They have jurisdiction, they recognize it, not like the cowards, well, -2 or 1.5
Yeah.
in Shasta County.
Yeah.
So when you look at them saying, well, we can't do anything about it, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Absolutely, you can. I mean, it's to me, I am so tired of the suppression. Okay, so what do we do about it? First of all, if you don't own a gun, you probably ought to go get one.
Yep.
If you don't own a gun, you probably ought to go get one.
And it'll take at least 10 days for you to be cleared, because that's how California works.
That's how California works, not like Texas.
Not like Texas. You can walk in and buy one and walk out. Same with ammo, as much as you want. Yeah.
So in Jefferson,
Same thing.
Texas model,
Yes, sir.
and 35 other states.
Yes. Yeah.
So here's the deal. You need to make sure that you have protection. We know the police do the best they can.
Right.
The sheriff's department do the best they can. We have some very, very good sheriff deputies and very good police officers. The challenge we have is they are limited. in their scope. However, they do take an oath to the Constitution of California.
Yep.
And the Constitution of the United States. And Carlos Zapata said it best on the last podcast. By the way, if you didn't listen to the last podcast that was done on Patriot State of Mind, I believe it was last week. I think it was last week. It's excellent. Very well done. They have a young man who's a healthcare professional who is just not going to put something in his body that he knows that he believes could be harmful.
Right.
So he's standing his ground. And getting back to what I was saying about the police officers, they can stand there. Don't just say it's your job. Don't give me this shit about, oh, it's just my job. That's bullshit.
Right.
I have to do it. It's my job. I have to follow the law. No, you don't. You have to follow your oath. You have to follow who you are. Your oath is an oath. And you are to protect the public, not to restrain or it's sort of like I was watching a video the other day by Linka Kaloma, and she was showing this video of the fact that they wanted to go inside a courtroom without wearing a mask. Well, the deputy stood up there and said, well, the judge says you can't, blah, 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 you can't go in there, blah, 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 without this. And, well, why not? I mean, is there a law? No, well, yeah, I have to follow my orders. No, you don't. No, you don't.
They only do because they want to keep their job, because they think that they're going to be fired for going against what the judge says. Okay, you get fired for going against the judge. Then you get out there on social media and you announce that. You talk about it. You get interviewed. You get some feedback and discussion, and you share it with all the rest of the sovereign citizens of the state of California. We are sovereign citizens here. And for you to be terminated over something like that, unacceptable. And that's non-negotiable. That should never happen, ever. That's when you have a criminal judge in that seat. That's when that judge needs to be replaced. They're not constitutional. They may say they are, but they're not. Because then they're using their self-created laws in their courtroom, their self-created policies in their courtroom against the law enforcement officers who are out there trying to do their job and do the best they can, and then they're turning around and violate them. No, that's unacceptable.
No, it's not. And you're absolutely right about that. Again, every judge that does that violates Article 3, Section 1 of the United States Constitution and their oath of office. That is not good behavior.
That's not proper adjudication of the court system.
Yes, sir. That's
and
exactly
so they're
right.
not in good behavior.
That's right.
At that point.
Well put.
The behavior that we spoke about earlier, that's bold and in all caps in the Constitution, that behavior is violating the Constitution. Therefore, that judge needs to be nullified. He needs to be removed from office.
Yes, sir.
Or their hand-picked position, however they got into their position, whether it's hired or if it was elected, they need to be removed.
Something else that California has, and I'm using the California Constitution because there are some things in there that right now we can do. We can have some action. One of the things we can have action on is the fact that we can push our supervisors to their oath of office.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of and that has to be pushed. People just are apathetic. They don't know any better. They're happy to do what their captors ask of them. They're happy to follow, as you were saying, and rightly so, my friend, illegal mandates, illegal, you could say laws, because these people would not be allowed to go into a courtroom without a mask. There's no law, but you're not allowed to do it.
Right.
I know that that the state has jurisdiction over certain things, but nothing trumps their oath of office.
Right.
The challenge is, what are the consequences? We have to start standing against the government, and that's going to be different than a lot of people saying standing. I mean, some of the politicians we have, God bless them, but we're going to sue the government.
Then what?
So let's sue the government. And as we sue the government, we'll use taxpayer money, because people will be, contributions to the different law firms that do all the lawsuits. So the contributions go in there and everything else. And then the government uses our taxpayer money
to fight us.
So how
we're
does
paying twice. We're paying in our taxes, and they're using that money to fight us. And then we have to pay to get attorneys to represent us. So we're paying twice.
Yeah.
We're paying twice.
And when you look at what happened in California, when the Senate and the Assembly were capped at 40 senators and 80 assemblymen, we only had, 50 judges?
Yeah.
And now we've
that.
got like 2,500?
And then we don't have any more legislators?
No.
Why? What happened
40
there?
and 80, baby.
Okay,
40 and 80.
we have more judges to adjudicate and go through the process because they need it, right?
Yeah.
Because they're not representing the public, right?
Yeah,
adequately with only 50 people, 50 judges. Now we have 2,500. Okay, that's better representation. So why don't we have better representation for our senators and our assemblymen here in California?
It's unreal. I mean, if we look at all this stuff and, we have to educate but action at the same time. Education and action. So what's the action? Okay, action is, first of all, figure out a way to protect your family. Second of all, pull your community together, pull your neighborhood together, whether that be a community watch, whether that be some kind of, whether you join the militia, whatever the choices you have. But I know a lot of neighborhoods are getting information from the militia. And by the way, the militias are amazing. They do great stuff. They do search and rescue. They help families. They do a lot of really good things. And they
training.
Yes, sir.
And they train the young. They offer camps for the young kids to learn how to be patriots.
Amazing.
And it's Bible based. They use the Bible to show people how to go through the process.
Go to your neighborhood, walk around your neighborhood and say, hey, are you protected?
Right.
Are you protected against not just crime, but, a lot of them will just say, hey, I'm worried about the government. You're finding more and more of that. And a lot of people wake up, but we need to do is to bring everybody together in a way that the liberals have. We need to bring a lot of groups together. Everybody seems to think that they have their own pet little thing that is going to fix everything, their own pet project. There's this, there's that, there's this issue, that issue. They're all combined into one issue. It's all about representation.
It is.
Because if you don't have representation, your vote doesn't count. You don't have any voice in your representative, not democracy, representative form of government.
Right.
Nothing else matters. And folks, if we don't have the Second Amendment to protect that, and it has to be mobilized. We need to mobilize, whether that be in your neighborhood. I know that we've started having some very interesting community watch meetings in my neighborhood. And the cool thing is that it wasn't really instituted by a family down the road who said, hey, we need to be watching stuff here, not just crime, but there's a lot of things we need to get together on. What if this happens or that happens? What if we have a bucket?
People are learning and becoming wise to what's going on, and they've had enough. They've had enough. Whether they are business owners or work for a business or they work for whatever, they've had enough. They're not going to be told what they can and cannot do. They've had enough.
Yep.
And so they're going to do it the right way, the proper way, the moral and ethical way.
Yep.
And they're coming together as groups and just getting themselves educated. And that's all we want. We want people to get smart about what they're doing, what the processes are. Learn the Constitution, understand what the binds are on the government, so that you as a sovereign citizen can do what you need to do to protect your family, to protect your home, protect all your property, and to protect your neighbors. Because there are going to be neighbors that can't protect themselves physically. They just can't do it. It's our moral and ethical responsibility to protect them. You take care of them. That's what you do. I mean, I know that's what we do. So that's what you do.
When we elect these people, we need to have apportionment. Apportionment means that we have to have a proper ratio of the person we elect to represent us and his constituents, his or her constituents. For example, originally in California, we had one assemblyman for every 5,000 people. That's a pretty good ratio. Because out of that, there's a certain number that are voters, a certain a number that are voting age. And those particular people, if you get 100 people together saying, hey, man, we don't want you to do that, then we can stop them with 100. So we need apportionment. You can't do that in California. California is irrevocably broken. If we wanted to have one for every 5,000, one for every 10,000, we'd probably have 20,000 representatives. And we need to have a senator or two for each county in the state, a senator or two, assembly based upon population, and the Senate based upon every county having an equal representation with the senator.
Well, and that's the thing. We would go from the 120 total representatives that we have now currently to over 8,000. So, would we have better representation? Absolutely. Would we be able to talk to the person, say, in Walmart or Costco or at the school or out on the street or in a restaurant? Absolutely. You would know who your local representative is because they don't live in a different county. They live in your county. They probably live in your neighborhood. Right now, like for us, for instance, our representatives live in a different county. They represent 11 counties. They don't just represent all their own county. They represent 10 other counties other than their own home county. Are there conflicts between the counties on what their needs are? Could be. And so how do they adequately represent the people of their district?
They can't.
It's not possible. And when you're talking 500,000 for the assembly and then 1 million for the Senate to be able to do that, and in our case, our representatives are married. Yes, you heard me right. They are married. I don't know how that worked out as far as they were married long before they both became politicians, but how did that work? How did we vote the second one in? How does that work?
Well,
So
the Pillow Talk Amendment.
Well, that's just it. Everything is decided there between them, and we don't know the dynamics of their marriage. So who's going to win that every time? We don't understand that. We don't know that. I mean, some people might, but I don't. So how are we going to be adequately represented? And then how do we get our senator and our assemblymen to work together? And sometimes they're going to have conflicting issues for their representative or for their constituents. How does that work? It won't. It flat out will not work. And how we voted them in like that is beyond me. And it's only because of party type. And that was the maddening thing. So anyway, that can be another show.
Yeah, we'll leave it with this right here, and that is that California is broken. The Republican Party of California is broken. It's an oligarchy. It's broken. The only thing we can do is have a state split. I would think probably 4 states in the state of California.
Easily.
Not only are we divided, but we have different needs: rural, urban in a smaller area as opposed to urban in Los Angeles.
Right.
Right now, Los Angeles County has 11 of the 40 senators.
Yeah.
And it's one of 57 counties.
58 counties.
58 counties.
Yeah.
Who was I leaving out? Oh, I know, Santa Clara. Okay, so for those of you in Santa Clara, I don't know. God bless you. Good luck. Anyway, the point is that if you've got a better idea, we're in.
Right.
The state of Jefferson now has a completed constitution after 3.5 years of hard work. We're going to have future shows where we're going to have Janet Chandler, who we affectionately call the mother of Jefferson, the First Lady of Jefferson.
Yeah.
She will be on this program. We'll have probably 3 different programs on this discussing the Constitution that these folks came up with. State split is the only answer. Action is the only answer. Protecting our Second Amendment is the only answer. Protecting our Constitution with the Second Amendment is our only answer. And if we don't elect people who have proper apportionment and give them the opportunity, then how do we expect them to do their job? And they are subject to the same laws we're subject to.
Absolutely.
Not like in California where there's dozens that the politicians who we elect
don't have to comply with.
That's right.
Yeah. All right.
So with that, I think we're going to wrap this episode up. It's good to have you back, my brother.
Good to be back.
And really and truly, folks, listen to Mountaintop Media. Watch Mountaintop Media.
Yep.
Watch what's going to happen here. This may be the beginning and the birth of a brand new source of media that speaks the truth. You know,
and it's not just our show. There's several other shows that are on here.
Tremendous. There's and the Red, White, and Blueprint. What a great docuseries that is. This is the beginning.
Yep.
The very beginning. The very beginning. And with that, my good friend, time has come.
For 51.
Well, let's get it done.
Amen.
ACA, come out and play. Have you seen the bill we all have to pay. It's not our bill, we had no say. You don't serve us, you serve LA. The time has come for 51 in a Jefferson state of mind. You don't know us, you have no clue, and still you're telling us what to do. We don't know you or what you face. It's time to start a brand new state. The time has come for 51 in a Jefferson state of mind. Jefferson state of mind, carpenter lessons we all learn through time. And to my new state, I will always be true. She's gonna shine in the red, white, and blue. It's really better off this way. The welfare you won't have to pay. You keep your royal pedigree. All we're asking is set us free. The time has come for 51 in a Jefferson state of mind. And in the end, it's very clear, anything that we hold dear will never see the light of day with California run this way. The time has come for 51. The time has come for 51. The time has come for 51 in a Jefferson state of mind. In a Jefferson state of mind. I'm in my Jefferson state